So question 1 is the question that is like the most asked question that any of you have ever sent in to me, which is, who is the daddy? So who is the dad to both of my children? Well, you'll be pleased to know they both have the same dad. We've been together for 5 years. Dada! You say dada? Say dada! We've been together for 5 years. We got engaged on my 22nd birthday, and we'll be getting married in around 2 years' time. You will see him at the introduction to the start of our videos, so watch closely on the introduction and you will see him. I don't video him very much. It's not really his thing, it's more my thing, and that is generally why you just don't see him an awful lot on the videos. Next, second most popular question for me was, what is Ronny's lung problem? So you might have heard, you might have seen it. I think we put it on Facebook and Instagram. I don't think I really mentioned it in our vlogs yet. But Ronny was found to have a lung problem at 20 weeks pregnant. So I went in kind of expecting to see whether I was having a boy or a girl, and ended up being rushed to a hospital that could deal with the type of problem that Ronny has. I was really quite poorly during his pregnancy, so I ended up with pneumonia twice. I was in hospital for about a month out of my pregnancy, and he ended up being born early. So the lung problem that he has is a pulmonary sequestration. A pulmonary sequestration is basically a little lump on the bottom of his lung that has a separate blood vessel to it. Because it has a separate blood vessel to it, it means it gets a different blood supply than the one that goes to the lung. It becomes a complication because in general, a lot of these babies have their heart shunted out of place. So the lump grows so big that it shunts it up to the top. And it can cause heart problems. It can cause lung cancer in later life, so that lump can eventually turn into lung cancer. And there are some other complications too, breathing problems, etc, etc. Now, Ronny has been fine, really. We were really worried whilst I was pregnant, and he's actually been a very healthy little boy. And a very happy little boy at that as well. And he did really shock us all. He was quite poorly when he was born, quite poorly whilst I was pregnant, as the lump, sometimes the lump shrinks, and instead it didn't, it grew, and then it went back down again. So whilst I was pregnant, he was poorly. And then we've had the all clear from the lung surgeon, so he hasn't had to have a lung operation, because where the lump is, it's just too small to operate on, and it might not be worth doing it. The risks kind of outweigh why you would do it, because surgery itself is quite risky. It's not a routine operation. So we decided that we would not operate on him based on that fact, and the surgeons were happy to discharge us, which was brilliant. Nowadays, because this is something that was kind of asked with the question as well, is do we have to look out for anything in particular? Yes, we do. So when he gets colds and coughs, hello darling, it can often turn into things like pneumonia. You want to do painting? No. And it can turn into things like pneumonia, and we have to just be really careful with him. And question 3, which was the most frequently asked question that was kind of emailed to me, was, is there any more babies? So as you know, I do a lot of sing vlogs, so I think people are kind of beginning to question now, are you having another one? Because Ronny is quite large to be singing and to be doing tutorials with. The simple answer to the question is, I don't really know. Because of Ronny's lung problem, and because of how young we both are, and we've just had the house redecorated, we just got the car how we wanted it, so I don't know. We may have another, we may well. Ronny's lung problem can actually be passed weirdly, not from like adult to child, but it can actually be passed from sibling to sibling. So there's sometimes correlations on whether the siblings will also have that problem as well. So that kind of puts us off a little bit. We would like to have more in the future, partly because we have 2 boys. So if we think more for me, I would probably like to have a girl. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think if we did have another one, we would have a boy, and that's fine. I'd be happy with that also. So I suppose the only answer I have to that question at the moment is I don't know. Keep an eye out on our vlogs, and you might find out whether we're having another one.